Welcome to the Healing Grove podcast. I'm Dr. Kristin, an integrative holistic family physician, author of Life After Lyme, and host in this virtual space of learning, healing, and growing. I believe humans are like trees, and our physical limb is only one of many. Health on all limbs of the tree, emotional, conceptual, social, spiritual, is absolutely required for the whole tree that is you to be vibrantly well. I created the Healing Grove podcast as a place to showcase some of the world's best integrative and holistic medicine, to expose you to transformative tools and mindset shifts for all limbs of your tree. I hope you enjoy our conversation in the Healing Grove today as much as I enjoyed having it. So welcome everybody to this talk with my friend Helen Bucher. I want to share a little bit about how we met and give a little bit of an introduction into what we're going to be talking about. But I just want to say that Helen and I don't know each other very well, but we're, I think, in love with each other already. We've been chatting about this notion of the tender, slender person, and she's going to tell you more about that in a minute. But first, I just want to share how I know her. So Helen and I met through a wonderful business coach named Ryan Eliason, who is a coach for visionary entrepreneurs. That's people who are heart-centered and wanting to live their heart and their intention through their business. And so Helen's one of those amazing people. And at a recent event with Ryan, I discovered that Helen's ideal client is the tender, slender person or woman? Woman. And I heard those words and like something in my brain exploded because I was like, I've never heard those words put together before, and they make so much sense. And I just have to know more about who that person is, because I'm pretty sure I'm that person. And I'm pretty sure half of my patients are those people. And so I think this is going to be really, really relevant to people who have complex chronic illness, because in my mind, these pieces are still kind of coming together. And I'm going to be learning alongside you, because Helen's going to explain to me what she meant by that for the first time. It was 2 months ago, and I'm still sort of tingling with like, what does that mean? And oh my gosh, this could be life-changing. So I'm super excited. Thank you so much, Helen, for speaking to us about this.
Thank you.
So tell us who you are and what you're about and who this person is called the Tender Slender.
Okay, so I'm Helen from Switzerland, and I'm one of these tender slenders, and I guess you too, as I have seen you in full height and full slenderness. So from my background, I'm a natural cosmetics person. I'm in nutrition, well eating, spiritualism. I mean, like light work and energy work. And I also made some massages for my clients, and I had a little shop with healthy products. And what I felt was always my passion is to help, especially women, to overcome the obstacles in life that make them really ill in the long run, as you have your own business in. What has to be done? Because I'm very health conscious, and since 30 years I live a very healthy lifestyle, and I learned this, and on top of this, and I have really a well-trained lifestyle, I would say, that keeps me healthy. And beside that, I wanted to be beautiful and keep my youth. And I am 53 right now. So I walk my talk.
Obviously.
And I felt I didn't want to work with ill people, really. I felt those people who have little symptoms, they need somebody too before they get ill. And it's the same in the US. You're not, you cannot make healing statements and things like that if you're not a doctor. You are a doctor, but me not. I'm a nurse, actually. But I felt, what about if I concentrate or focus on rejuvenation? For me, this is like the apex of a healthy lifestyle. And especially in the US, you're far advanced with these radical healthy lifestyle things that really have healing capacity. I learned a lot about this, and it's in Europe, it's just starting now that people get more radical in a way, like you really have to change your life that you get healthy. And this is how I came into this whole thing. And I felt that women, when they hear beauty, beauty and rejuvenation, reverse aging and natural anti-aging, they get, oh, that sounds nice. So that's why I started with that. And what happened then is, when something sells good, is weight management, right?
Yeah.
If you come with weight management, you always have customers.
Yeah, that seems to be true here
But the
too.
problem was, this is not my topic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very slender, and but soon I had this many women for weight management, and they did my programs and they always worked. And but the funny thing is, they didn't keep it up. 7 months later, they came back and did the same program again. And then I said to myself, oh, I did something wrong with them. They could not keep it. But I found out it's their kind of lifestyle. They don't want to change their lifestyle. They just want to make a cure, a program for 3 weeks, for 3 months. And then they want to go back into their normal life. And it's not my style. And I felt to become, I lost my happiness in my job, because I felt like a loser. I could not help them really. And then when I was 50, on my birthday party, I looked in this party of women. It was about 10 women's coming, and I saw, oh, they're all tender slender. They loved what I was saying, and they always came to me and said, hey Helen, I did this, I had these results, what else could I do? And this is what I love. I don't want to preach, yeah, you have to change your food. No, I want people who by their own free will feel, oh, that's something in it, maybe I can do even more. And this is where I saw, oh, this is the kind of person I want to serve, because they love me and I love them, and I feel them. I feel how the problems they have, the thoughts they have, the inspiration, the desires. And when I came to Ryan's program, where we met, I felt I only want to serve the tender slender. And this is not a German word. And my first coach was also an English-speaking person, and he asked me, how would you describe that person? And suddenly I came up with this tender slender thing. And that's why I when I'm always in the English-speaking era, I say tender slender, and that's you
Yeah, well,
understand
it
that.
definitely resonated. So I want to hear more about what defines the tender slender. I mean, obviously slender is something that we all can visualize. Tell us more about the tender part of that phenotype.
Okay, so tender, I don't know in English, but tender means something like delicate, soft, fragile. What else is it? Maybe you can help me with the English
Yeah, so
term.
easily bruised or easily pained, that gets to the
Yeah.
tender, the fragileness, the delicateness. I think of someone who's quite sensitive, maybe
Yeah.
emotionally as well as physically. Does
Yeah.
that capture it too?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are some of the things that a tender slender, like how would someone know that they're tender slender? What are some stories that they might relate about their life that would identify them as such?
Yeah. Um, I know a lot about healthy food like you, and I cured myself from heavy metal toxicity, which I didn't discover for many years. And even with my healthy lifestyle, especially my colon got worse. And I followed all these styles, eating styles like raw food and this juice fasting and celery juice and you name it, all this what is around. And I followed this, and with liver flush, and you know um, and of course it helped me in a way, but it didn't heal me. And I'm also a little bit in a traditional Chinese medicine, not like a professional, and also in Ayurvedic. And some are familiar with the Ayurvedic types like Vata, Pitta, Kapha. And when I saw about the Vata description, they describe it like they are more bony, more slender, more thin skin, and they get ill very easily, and they don't tolerate any toxins at all. You know, when you have fat on your body, these fat cells absorb toxicity and you can live for a long time and it doesn't bother your organs. But if you're slender, you get organ problems and brain damage very quickly. And this happened to me actually. And um, so I would say, if you're a tender slender, you try to live healthy and still you have problems. And the people around you say, oh, if I would eat so healthy like you and take care so much like you, I cannot even die. Hey, come on, don't be so tender, don't be so fragile. Become a little bit more normal again. They don't understand you and they make fun about your lifestyle, but you feel if you eat wrong, you have to suffer a whole week by it. And this wrong eating might be just one normal bread on a party. This can be enough. And people who are not this kind of Vata type or tender slender type, they run away with it with no problems.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're really very high sensitive, like with food, like with, you don't stand cold weather, for example, because you freeze very quickly. You have a light sleep. You're more mindy because you're not so grounded. There is no weight hanging on you that grounds you literally. So this is the Ayurveda describes it like this. They are all airy, this airy type, airy and etheric type, like Ayurveda. So you're more like this. You have a spiritual connection naturally, and also you're very intuitive, but you cannot concentrate. You lose yourself in 1,000 ideas. So you have problem making money because of that, staying with an idea for making a business, because next day you have 5 more brilliant ideas. And this kind of person this is.
So I'm sure a lot of people out there are resonating with this already and asking, oh my gosh, well, if I'm tender slender now, am I tender slender forever? And if so, what do I do about that? Like, how do I ground myself? How do I create the conditions where I can thrive as opposed to just struggle with, our modern world?
Yeah. So honestly, when I would only follow the um, Western tips, I would do the wrong thing. So if you follow the Western health tips, you cannot. They don't serve you well. So what helped me to follow is the Ayurvedic thing about Vata. If you want to Google about Vata, you will find many tips. So mainly this means you need to take care of your own rhythms, because you don't have too much energy. You have big energy at the beginning, but you run out of energy. So you have to be careful about your energy management. You have to be careful about your food. And in Ayurvedic terminology, this would mean that you take care that you eat more grounded food. Like you have to eat every day something like legumes together with a cereal, and it needs to be cooked very well and soft. It needs to be juicy, because you have a dryness inside. Not you have dry skin and dry colon. You tend to have obstipation, so you need to eat warm and juicy and substantially. You cannot go with raw food, for example. You have to take care of raw food, especially in winter. No salads, maybe some carrot salad or something like roots is always good. That's okay, but you have to be careful with nuts, maybe, because they have this phytin, I see. I think it's named. You are always a little bit on the sensitive side, so you really need to take care. What doesn't feel good, skip it.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a tip. You need to take care of your sleep a lot, like your rhythm again. That you if you get tired, let's say at 9, and you stay awake until 10:15, it can be that your hormones go up, like the cortisol, and you don't fall into sleep until 1:30. So to have this knowledge help me to take care. If I get tired, I see that I can go to bed quickly to use that biorhythmic, something like this. Or take care of your warmth, like with the clothes you have. Artificial clothes like underwear cools you out. Or if you have like this and go outside and here is nothing and you have cold winter, or the same with the ankles, or you have a shoe sole that is not very thick and the cold comes in, this can be very dangerous for you when you're so thin and you don't have this fat. Yeah, these are tips.
Wonderful. So I'm hearing a lot of lifestyle tips, both in terms of
Yeah.
nutrition and adequate sleep and rest and conserving your energy through bundling up. And I love these. These are all things I tell my patients too, and things I do for myself. And I'm really still curious about this concept of this phenotype. And I'm wondering if it's something that you typically see in people from birth, or is this something that can be unmasked? Because one of the things I see is that people who have lived very intense lives many times for a long period of time might get Lyme disease, and after that it's like they become this phenotype. And I think of it as like their buffer between, you know, any kind of lifestyle indiscretion and feeling the results like shrinks to like a thin line. So there's really, you know, you can make just the smallest shift out of a perfect lifestyle and feel the difference once you've had Lyme, which almost is like this unmasking of this phenotype. Do you know what I mean?
The phenotype.
Oh, sorry, doctory word. Phenotype meaning the way in which your genes manifest themselves, sort of the external characteristics of
Yes,
a way of being.
Yes.
So sort of like archetype, but from a
Yes.
doctor
Yes.
perspective. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's a very good question. So I come again from the Ayurvedic viewpoint.
Mm-hmm.
So they have something like, they call it prakriti. This means this is your born typology. And of course we have this vata, pitta, kapha, this all three always. But with vata types, with this tender, slender, you have just more of these airy qualities in your system. And this stays for you forever. And of course, you can have another predominant typology, and you can increase your vata, they call it, or your airiness, when you have too much stress in your life, too much unfocusedness, like you're always on the computer and always this many information, and you don't rest enough, you don't take care of your biorhythms. You fly a lot, high in the air, again the air.
Mm-hmm.
These time shifts, you lose your rhythms, or you have problems in the physical part, like in your families or in your existence, like earning money. And money is also something stable. If you have problems with this, you think a lot, you trouble a lot in your mind, and this gives this like from the psychics, it goes into the body, and it produces symptoms which cannot be explained by a doctor when they measure things, right? Or they make a test and they say, no, everything is okay, but you feel ill because it comes from a mental level. So even if you're another typology, but with this kind of world we are in today, chances are very high that you increase your vata. And we see it especially with the kids, you know, this ADS and ADHS. Do you have that, like autism too?
ADHD and autism spectrum, is that the kids you're talking about?
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is always a vata aggravation, it's called. You know, they have too much air in their system. They cannot ground. They cannot be quiet. They cannot be. Um, they cannot regenerate because it's always something going on in the system, and this can happen to most people too. And in Ayurveda, it's unfortunately said that the Vata typology has 80% of all illnesses. And the Pitta 40 and the Kapha, the substantial person, I mean, not the fatty person, the healthy substantial person, only 20. And plus, the substantial typology in Ayurveda is the childhood, and then the Pitta is more like the adult span until 45, 50. And after 50 starts the Vata coming, because Vata is decreasing substance. You know, you lose substance, you lose bone substance, muscle substance, the good fat substance, hormones, the minerals, everything flows away, and you get airy again and gassy, bloaty. And this is Vata again. So when you think about it, we are 50 and we live until 70, 80, 90. So the Vata lifespan is the most. And the Vata principle gets the most illnesses. So you can be sure, if you work with these chronic people, this is a Vata thing. This is this tender, slender, airy thing happening in their system.
Fascinating.
And so my mission actually is, I was a victim myself. That's why I see it so clearly. I see women, these tender, slender women who are in their 30s and 40s, and they go to vegan, they go to this healthy, they follow the healthy health gurus with these radical things, always to lose fat, to lose substance, to clean out a lot and too harsh. And first it helps always, right? And because it helps, you continue that, especially if you're disciplined. And Vata is sort of disciplined because they feel I have to take care of myself. So they continue and repeat that over 5 years, 10 years, and they lose blood and everything. And then these women get a little ill, but they don't agree with that. If you say, hey, look at you, you're pale, you're not energyful, you get colds easily, and yeah, you know, I just have to make more detox. And it's the wrong thing. They need to build up substance. And the pity is, when they come into their menopause and have a healthy lifestyle for 20 years already, they get so ill they cannot handle it. Alternatively, they come to the doctors at this moment, and they need medicine, and this tender slender, they cannot bear medicine. It makes them ill very quickly. So you can see the problem. First, they think they do all things right for many years, they get ill by this, and then they cannot keep that up and come to the doctor. And then it's not nice to see what happens. And maybe you can agree with that when you look at your patients.
Well, I think you speak to a lot of their, their lived experience, which is a lot of the people who come to me are already doing sort of quote everything right, and they still feel lousy, and
Yes.
their lab tests don't agree with the fact that they're sick, and so they're made to feel somewhat crazy, or flat out told that they are depressed or anxious and should go to psychiatry, and then they get medicines which make them sicker, and they are highly intolerant of you've described it really perfectly in a way. So out of respect for your time, I know we're sort of bridging on the end of your time here. I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to talk a bit about this, I'm sure there are going to be people who want to find you and learn more from you. Will you provide a link or something for us that we can send people your way if they want to work with you or learn about some of the resources you have online?
Yeah, my website is Womangrace, in English, womangrace.ch. CH is Switzerland. And I work mainly in German. I mean, I can work with an English speaking person. If somebody really feels connected with me right now, I'm happy to do that. But unless you speak German, you won't understand my website. But
Got it.
I'm very glad to talk again with you about a certain topic, if I can be of service with that.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Helen. This has been amazing.
Thank you too.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Healing Grove podcast. If you liked it, please be sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to deepen your experience further, consider grabbing a copy of the Healing Grove Playbook. With journal prompts for this podcast and 41 others, it's the perfect place to record your learnings, keep track of the tools you explore, and reflect on your own experience. Finally, it's important to mention that even though I am a doctor, nothing you hear on this podcast, whether from myself or my guests, constitutes medical advice. Any intervention you try should always be discussed with and supervised by a trusted member of your own healing team. Thanks for listening, and see you next time in the Healing Grove.